Walk into a newly renovated British home in 2026 and you'll notice something strange. The furniture looks old, not neglected, not dated, old on purpose, rich, grainy, imperfect, and full of character. Meanwhile, thousands of people are paying removal companies to haul away perfectly good oak furniture because they think it doesn't fit the modern look anymore. They're wrong. And in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which timber styles are taking over British interiors this year, why they're taking over, and how you can bring almost any piece of furniture you already own into that look, usually for less than the cost of a takeaway. Here's the situation. For the best part of 2 decades, British homes chased a very particular look. Everything had to be smooth. Everything had to be uniform. Flat-painted MDF furniture, high-gloss veneers, gray-washed everything. Walk into any showroom between 2010 and 2020, and you'd have seen the same story repeated in every price bracket. Furniture designed to look like it came from a factory because it did, and it was never meant to be repaired. It was meant to be replaced. That approach is fading fast, and 2026 is the year it's really being replaced by something else. A return to timber that looks and feels genuinely like wood. Exposed grain, visible knots, color variation from one board to the next, furniture that shows its age instead of hiding it. Why is this happening now? A few reasons, and they're worth understanding, because they explain everything else in this video. First, people are tired of furniture that falls apart. Flat-pack pieces, held together with cam locks and glued dowels, don't survive a house move, let alone a decade of daily use. Second, there's a growing appetite for homes that feel personal rather than showroom perfect, and nothing communicates this home has a story like timber with real character. Third, and this one matters a lot in the UK specifically, sustainability has moved from a nice-to-have to a genuine buying consideration. Reclaiming and restoring existing timber, rather than cutting down more trees for flat-pack furniture that lasts 5 years, simply makes more sense to people now. So when a chair, a table, or a chest of drawers gets damaged, the instinct used to be, bin it, buy new. That instinct is expensive, wasteful, and here's the part most people don't realize, usually unnecessary. Most damage to solid timber furniture is entirely repairable. A wobbly joint, a scratched surface, a faded finish, even a cracked leg. These are things a weekend and a modest toolkit can fix. What can't be fixed is a flat-pack chipboard cabinet with a broken corner because there's no solid material underneath to repair. That's the real difference people are waking up to. Solid wood is an investment you can restore. Everything else is a countdown. This is also where engineered wood deserves a fair mention because it's not the villain of this story. It's just a different tool for a different job. Engineered wood, which is a layered core with a real timber veneer on top, is genuinely useful for large, stable surfaces like wide worktops or wardrobe panels, where solid timber would be more prone to warping with humidity changes. The trouble is that engineered veneers are thin, often less than a millimeter, so they tolerate very light sanding at best, and heavy damage usually means the piece is done. Solid timber, by contrast, might be an inch thick or more, which means it can be sanded back, repaired, and refinished multiple times over its lifetime without ever running out of material. So part of getting this right in 2026 is simply knowing which of your furniture is which, because that single fact decides whether a piece is worth restoring or better replaced. Before you can bring a piece of furniture into any of 2026's timber trends, you need to understand exactly what you're working with. So let's walk through how to properly inspect a piece before you touch it with sandpaper, stain, or glue. Start with the joints. Give the piece a gentle shake. A chair is the easiest to test. If you feel movement or hear a faint creak at the joints, that's loose glue, and it needs to be addressed before anything cosmetic happens. There's no point refinishing a chair that's about to collapse. Next, look closely at the surface under good light. Ideally daylight, not a dim workshop bulb, because artificial light hides a lot of surface flaws. You're checking for scratches, both shallow ones that only affect the finish, and deeper ones that have gone into the bare wood. You're checking for water damage, which usually shows up as pale rings, dark blotches, or a slightly raised, textured feel where moisture has swollen the grain. You're checking the existing finish. Is it varnish, wax, paint, or factory lacquer? This matters enormously, because each one needs a different removal method, and using the wrong one wastes hours. Then move to structural checks. Press firmly on flat surfaces like tabletops and drawer bottoms to feel for soft spots, which usually indicate rot, especially near legs that have had contact with damp floors or exterior use. Check for missing chunks of wood, particularly on corners and edges where furniture takes the most impact over the years. And check the hardware. Hinges, drawer runners, handles, because loose or rusted hardware is often mistaken for the whole piece is falling apart problem when it's actually a 5-minute fix. Don't skip checking for rot specifically, because it's the one issue that genuinely changes the whole approach. Real wrought feels soft, slightly spongy, and often crumbles or flakes when you press a screwdriver tip into it. Healthy timber, even old timber, resists that pressure firmly. Rot usually appears near the base of legs, along bottom rails, or anywhere the piece has sat in contact with a damp floor or an exterior step for years. It doesn't mean the piece is beyond saving, but it does mean that section needs to be cut back to solid wood, and either built up with a specialist repair epoxy or replaced with a new matching section. Rather than simply sanded and painted over, sanding over active rot only buries the problem under a fresh finish for a few months before it reappears. Paint damage is worth its own quick check too, particularly on older pieces, because layers of old paint can sometimes contain lead, especially on furniture likely made before the 1990s. If you're stripping paint from a genuinely old piece and you're not certain of its age, it's worth testing or simply treating it as a possibility. Working in a ventilated space, wearing a proper mask, and avoiding dry sanding that paint until you've either tested it or stripped the bulk of it chemically first. Finally, and this is the step most people skip, identify the timber itself if you can. Oak has a distinctive open, ray-fleck grain. Pine is soft, pale, and dents easily under a fingernail press test. Mahogany has a deep reddish tone and a tight, straight grain. Knowing what you're working with tells you how it will respond to sanding, staining, and the trend you're aiming for. Because, as we're about to get into, some timber trends only work with certain types of wood, while others can be achieved on almost anything with the right technique. Now let's get into the styles themselves. The timber looks actually shaping British interiors in 2026, and exactly how to achieve each one on furniture you already have. The first, and arguably the biggest, trend this year is natural exposed oak. This is the let the wood be wood movement, stripping back decades of dark varnish, orange tone lacquer, or paint to reveal the timber's natural pale gold color and open grain underneath. To achieve this, start by removing the old finish. If it's varnish or lacquer, a chemical stripper applied with a brush, left to sit for the time stated on the tin, then scraped away with a plastic scraper, never metal, which can gouge the surface, will lift most of it. If it's paint, you may need 2 applications. Once the bulk of the old finish is off, move to sanding. Begin with 80 grit to remove any remaining residue and level out imperfections, then progress to 120 grit and finish with 220 grit for a smooth surface that will take a finish evenly. Always sand with the grain, never across it, or you'll leave scratch marks that show up the moment you apply oil or wax. For the finish itself, this trend calls for something that enhances rather than masks, a hard wax oil or a raw Danish oil applied with a lint-free cloth in thin coats, left to absorb for the time recommended on the product, then buffed. This keeps the wood looking and feeling natural rather than plasticky. The second major trend is dark timber statement pieces, a deliberate swing toward deep, rich tones like walnut, espresso, and near-black stains, often used on a single standout piece in an otherwise light room, like a dining table or a sideboard. To achieve this on an existing piece, again start with a clean, bare surface. Strip and sand as above. Then apply a wood stain in a dark walnut or ebony shade, working in the direction of the grain with a brush or cloth, wiping off any excess after a few minutes so the color absorbs evenly rather than sitting on top and looking blotchy. 2 thin coats almost always look better than 1 thick one. Seal with a matte or satin polyurethane or a dark-toned hard wax oil, which will also deepen the color slightly. The key professional trick here is testing your stain on an offcut or a hidden section first. Oak, pine, and mahogany all take dark stain differently, and what looks black in the tin can look distinctly brown or even reddish once it's on your specific timber. The third trend, and one of the most sustainable, is reclaimed and reclaimed look oak, timber that carries visible history, old nail holes, slight weathering, holu or variation between boards, sometimes even old paint remnants left partially intact for character. If you're restoring a genuinely old or reclaimed piece, the goal here isn't to erase every mark. It's to clean, stabilize, and protect the character that's already there. Clean the surface thoroughly, repair any structural issues, but resist the urge to sand away every old mark. A light hand sand to remove roughness, followed by a clear hard wax oil, preserves the story of the wood while making it durable enough for daily use again. If you want a reclaimed look on furniture that doesn't naturally have it, techniques like wire brushing along the grain to raise the texture, followed by a light distressing with a chain or the edge of a screwdriver on corners, can convincingly recreate that weathered character. Use sparingly because overdoing it looks artificial fast. The fourth trend worth knowing is the Japandi-inspired light wood look. Pale, almost bleached timber tones inspired by Scandinavian and Japanese design. Popular in bedrooms and living spaces, aiming for a calm, minimal feel. This is achieved with a wood bleach or a whitewash technique. After sanding back to bare wood, a diluted white or gray wash, essentially a thinned paint or specialist whitewash product wiped on and immediately wiped back off, sits in the open grain and lightens the overall tone while still letting the timber pattern show through.